Hello lovely interweb and welcome back to my channel. I am Jay Michael. I used to be the Sims addict. I kind of did a little makeover of my channel and I now have social media. So you can find me on Tumblr and Instagram under J Michael Sims. I will have the links for that in my descriptions now. So go ahead and check that out. For anything that I don't post on YouTube, I'll post on there, or anything that I do post on YouTube, I'll showcase a little bit more of that in there, as long as like a little bit more detail with the CC I build with and things like that. So yeah, go ahead and check me out there. So today we're building in Sulani and I am using a boatload of Felixandre custom content. So for those of you who don't know, Felixandre is a Patreon custom content maker for The Sims 4. I became familiar with his work from Harrie, Hey Harrie on YouTube. She's also on a lot of different platforms, so go ahead and give her, I'm sure everybody, if you're watching this obscure little video in the vastness of the internet, I'm sure you've heard of Harrie, so yeah, go ahead and give her a like. So I really I tried this idea once before when I first got the CC, and there's different levels to what you get with his CC. So it is Patreon, so you do pay for it. That isn't something I ever considered that I would do. I never even used to play with any kind of CC before, which is custom content. But I recently, I don't know, I love it. I did realize that, once you start getting into CC, there's different like degrees of it. People prefer like alpha, maxis match, like what have you. Different strokes for different folks. I definitely prefer maxis match. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, so just because something is maxis match doesn't mean that it's not, it can't be ornate or it can't be beautiful. Which is, I think Felixandre has a big case to make for that. I think I will get a lot of use. But what I was saying before is there's different tiers to what you can get when you buy essentially his custom content. You become a Patreon subscriber or member or however that works. And yeah. If you pay $20, you get everything that he's made so far, and I think it's been like a little over 2 or 3 years of content that he's released something at least once a month. So when I first got this, it was quite a lot of content. And I don't know if anybody has ever like been flooded with content, like maybe you've bought a bunch of packs when they were on sale or something like that, but for me, when I get the stuff, it's like you're so excited and you want to use everything that you can't necessarily showcase objects clearly and coherently. At least I can't. I kind of have like a creative like block when stuff like that happens. Because like I said, you just want to see every object. You want to like play around with it. You try to do a build and you try to throw everything in there but the kitchen sink, and then you put in 4 kitchen sinks, and it's like, it's a lot. But I have become a little bit more, you gotta just get to know the catalog a little bit better once you like have a lot of stuff in this. Getting Felixandre's custom content. I've gotten Harrie's heritage collections, and then some Peacemaker stuff too. I used some of the Peacemaker stuff on my Hamptons build not that long ago, so go ahead and check that out. But yeah, so I tried this once before. I did this on the Admiral's Wreckage lot in Mau Palam, I think that's how you say it, in Sulani. And I was making this massive, just like mansion, elaborate, and I just realized the like style of it wasn't really going anywhere, and it was just a little bit too much. So I kind of like rethought about it, and I thought what would make this interesting is having it on a waterfront lot. So historically speaking, something like this probably wouldn't have been built this close to the water, just because, tide and storms. They wanted it to like last. It probably would have been built a little bit more inland. Um, but it's The Sims, and we can pretend, just like we can pretend that a build like this in Polynesia wouldn't be from colonialism. So here you can see that I kind of did something that I don't normally do, but I've like started doing a little bit more recently. But I started working on the like front facade of the house, and then kind of working on the shape like as an afterthought of that. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. One of the things that I found out about like custom content, especially like good custom content like this with Felixandre, is you can literally just have a box and then throw all this like detailed stuff on it, and it makes it look really good. Yeah, so it's a great tool. I like it. It also opened the world up because I like a lot of classic builds. I mean, I also like modern builds, don't get me wrong, but I would have to say my favorite style would be like a very old house, but it's like been modernized a little bit. I mean, I'm sure that's like what everybody likes, but that is not this. So with this is kind of like I would imagine if this was in real life, it would have been maybe kind of like a historical house. Like maybe they would have it open for like walkthroughs and type things, or I don't know, maybe like local politicians like would live here, like it used to be a parliament building or something like that. But most everything in this is like a classic kind of, I almost went French inspired with this. I was thinking about like, because obviously Sulani is based off of like Polynesia, whether that be Hawaii or like somewhere else. I kind of get Hawaiian vibes from it, but it could be based on something. The Sims typically pulls inspiration from multiple different places. So I kind of went with that whole like French Polynesia theme, and that's where we went with this. It's not necessarily I didn't stay true to any particular architectural style. I just kind of like went with what I thought looked good. Yeah, and she's pretty unique. Also, another thing that's not very realistic is if you're this close to the ocean like that, they probably wouldn't have these ornate, thin iron railings like that. They would rust out in a second. I would assume. I don't know. But, again, it's The Sims. So, here you can see that I am working on the exterior. I do put a lot of the building details into the exterior. I utilized a lot of his like French assets, like those like statue corbel type things, and yeah, a lot of the corbels. I think it's the Berlin pack that I used for some of the doors and windows, and then I don't know exactly which all. He has a lot, like a lot. So I didn't necessarily limit from what of his stuff that went into this build, but it is quite a bit. And I will try to, maybe on Tumblr, link all of the things that I used in this. I do include, there's a couple paintings that I kind of custom made from the, what is that called? The Sims, what's the name of that thing? The Sims Studio. I just took one of the base game paintings and I made like Monet paintings, kind of like my own custom content. I don't necessarily know how to share that, so if you do go to download this, which I will have it linked, well, I won't have it linked, but it'll be under my gallery ID, so you can go ahead and check me out there. It's currently under ThornSims06. I'm also working on changing that to something that more fits in with the brand. So yeah, so that probably won't show up just because that is technically custom content that like I don't know how to share right now. I'm gonna try not to use a lot of that in the builds that I share, just because I know it can be frustrating if you want to like have something and it doesn't look quite like how you've seen it. The only thing I can really think of is I'm working on a build now where I did a custom fence, and it's just a recolor of one of the debug fences. But I might look up and see if there's any way for me to like maybe do like a Tumblr link and download them. I'm sure it can't be that hard. But yeah, working on the exterior of this build. Here in a second, you're going to see quite a big jump because I do the floor plan and the exterior landscaping, I want to say. Land and seascape, I guess. I do that off camera just because it was a lot, especially like in the water. I wanted to create this kind of like built into the landscape with like rocks and all this foliage and like very detailed and kind of like a romanticized version of what it would look like. So I did that off camera, and there will be more screenshots, and you can kind of like see it as we work on the interior after that. So I really wish that I don't know, I wish the Sims team could come up with something like this, because realistically, like, I don't have like a crazy, I mean, I don't have like a bad computer, don't get me wrong. I wanted to like make sure that I spend money on something that would like last and that I could play my game on, but I don't have like a crazy like customized computer that like, you know, you hear all these YouTubers having and stuff. I just have like a standard like from the box computer, and my game runs very well with all the packs and the CC installed. So I just wish the Sims team could like step their game up with some of the like, I don't know, like the resolution of some of the stuff. It just seems very like, I don't know, maybe it's just like getting dated because the game's like, what is it, like almost 5 years old, or it is 5 years old or something like that. But yeah, I don't know, because it's like if custom content makers can do it and it like doesn't make my game slow, like the Sims team should be able to do it. Because like, I mean, I get like playability, and that's like a lot of the reasoning that they do for some of their stuff, but because like the Sims 3 sucked. It was so long and laggy, and it would just take forever to load, and so like playability was a big thing, I'm assuming, for the Sims 4 team. So I get that. I get where they're coming from with that. But I don't know. Or maybe just like take some of the base game stuff and retexture it to where it looks like it actually fits in with some of the newer assets they have coming out, like Tiny Living, the objects that came out with that. Like, they're really good. They have good texture, and a lot of the Create Sim items. That's another thing, like the hairs, like some of it looks like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Create Sim. There's that like crazy low resolution afro before they started becoming a little bit more diverse in terms of where they put the energy into making good textured hair. So it's just like, I don't know if that would be something that's like simple that they could go back and maybe remesh or something. But anyways, here you can see me kind of like laying down the palette for what I'm gonna do in terms of the exterior, and we're gonna have a jump here in a second. Yeah, so I really wanted it to look like it was like overgrowing, and it was very like landscaped, and they had like gardeners and everything like that, but with a very tropical like beachfront edge to it. So I'm really happy with how the exterior turned out. This whole like extensive terrace like back area is probably my favorite thing that I've done in the game so far. I just think that it's very like romantic, and the only thing I wish I could have done is probably add a pool. But in thinking of the like integrity of the architecture, I don't necessarily know if a pool would have been, I don't know, would have fit in something like this. Just because like when I think of like something like this and it having a pool, it would probably be like after 1900s, where I was kind of thinking this was like a pre-1900s, maybe like 1800s, 1850s-ish build. So yeah, I really went with that. I liked, I went with this kind of wood tone because I wanted to play in with, there wouldn't be any, like, I didn't want there to be no wood in this build, just, it was looking very, like, stony, like Castle on the water, and I wanted it to still have that, like, tropical, I don't know, that kind of like tropical, estately feel to it, because obviously wood is more abundant than stone in island areas in some places. So I kind of went with that. So this is another thing that I had to kind of realize with Felix's content. I put that lamp in so many of the builds that I've done prior to this, and I didn't realize that you put each candle in it like you do the wall sconces. So for a lot of the builds, I just had that free floating without any lights in it. So that's fun. Here you can see I do have a floor pattern, and that is from, I think it's from Felix, but it could be Peacemaker. I don't know. I know the rug is Peacemaker. And I do include a couple modern rugs. I think that's really the only like modern thing that I included in this house. Yeah, and these like open doors, he like does it for a lot of his doors that he makes. Like, I really want to do a good Tudor style house. I've been working on a couple, but I just haven't really been feeling it. But there's so much good content to make like a really, really good like classic Tudor style house. And this like wallpaper that they use, this like hand painted motif and stuff, it's amazing. I'm gonna use it in every build. I utilized a lot of those wallpapers. He also has this like swan, it's like a colonial swan painting wallpaper, and that's really good. So this is kind of like the a little bit more formal living space. There's also a grand like kind of gallery living space up the front. This house has like a music room, a few bedrooms, gallery in the center there that has the stairs going up. I was gonna make this whole area the kitchen, but I decided against that because I figured historically they wouldn't have a gigantic kitchen. It would just be a smaller kitchen. And so that's what we kind of make off the end of that with the black and white tile. So, yeah, I originally put stone in this room and kind of upstairs just because it was like kind of open to the exterior. It would, ideally you would have like those curtains and be able to draw the curtains, or maybe like close like shutters or something. If it was raining or cold or anything like that. But I changed that from stone into I think it like wood paneling later on, not necessarily right now, but yeah, it's, the furnishing of this isn't going to be for everybody's taste. It's very French, it's very I don't know, lavish, some might call it gaudy. I don't know if it's my particular style, but it is like fun to create something like this. Even though I don't know if I would necessarily live in a house like this, I think it's like, it is fun to like be able to make stuff like this in The Sims. So yeah, I did include quite a few bedrooms in this house. There's one kind of like master specific bedroom, and then there's one kind of like kids bedroom, and then the rest are just kind of basically furnished. I don't really go with a whole lot of that, but yeah. A lot of people have been speculating about whether or not there is going to be a new pack soon. I thought there would have been information by now, but I do think that most of the world being in quarantine has something to do with the delay for that. So we shall see. I do hope everybody is being safe out there. If you or a loved one are sick or have lost somebody, I am sorry for your loss. It is a very difficult time, and I recognize now that like I do have a little bit more time to make content. I was a little bit discouraged for a while, not gonna lie. Just because it's like, how do you go on here when everybody's feeling very like upset, and everybody's going stir crazy at home, or if they're not, they're like pretty scared if they still have to work or anything like that. But surprisingly, I was watching a Juno Birch video on YouTube, and she talked about it as like she's just here to entertain, and she kept it as that. Because I kind of thought, like, if you came on here and you were like insensitive about anything, it could read like is it like inappropriate to do something like this? But I do see that it can be helpful in this time, just because one, people are at home and so they're probably consuming content like crazy, and two, people just want a distraction. So that is what I am trying to do. My channel is obviously very young. I'm still like new at learning how to do all this, but I have time now for a bit of practice. So yeah. This room that we're kind of furnishing here is the kind of long, I don't remember what I called this, but it's kind of like it's not the gallery, but it's like like a foyer type area. I put in a lot of these like Greek like vases that he has in here, just as like maybe it's like a collection that they have. It's not a Greek house, but maybe they would have like a collection of the Greek antiquities. I did like strong color schemes throughout this, and I'm working on another build in Windenburg, and it was starting out being my quote-unquote dream house, and I quickly discovered that green is my favorite color. I never really like considered having a favorite color before, but once I was doing the color schemes for that and kind of looking at older builds, I was like, oh yeah, I use green quite a lot. So you'll see a recurring theme. I will try to kind of not make it for every single build, but I do like it, especially with a lot of this custom content. There's a lot of like more muted color swatches, or like that dark like green. I don't know what it would be called, but it's like, it's to what navy blue is to blue, if that makes any sense, but it's like green. I really like that. This is kind of like the lighter color, but there's like a darker one, and it's really nice. I kind of went with a black color scheme in the piano, or like the music room. So you can see me starting over here now. I kind of left this, I didn't leave it like unfurnished. There's quite a bit of furniture in here, but I wanted the grand piano to be kind of like the star of the show. And in hindsight, I could have used that more ornate one from the base game. I know Felix has one, and it is pretty. I don't know. I just didn't think that it fit here. And so yeah. I do include like a microphone and things like that. I figured they would probably still have like a singer. yeah. I don't know how functional this build would be, just because it's like very, very expensive, and you would obviously like cheat to get this. But it's all in all not a huge house, so it would be like player friendly. I've played in it for like the screenshots, and a lot of like very ornate builds that you do, especially with custom content like this, can kind of overwhelm your system and it can be not playable. For my own personal gameplay, I typically don't do over 2 stories, or really like over 1 story if I'm being honest, just because like cycling through the like levels can be very annoying. So yeah. I am probably going to have quite a little bit of classical builds coming up. I'm just going to like build what I have inspiration for. I don't necessarily the thing is when I first started this channel, I was like, I gotta have a good mix of everything. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And it was very, I don't know, disingenuous. And if I don't have the inspiration for it, it's not as good. And it's not to say that it's bad or anything. I could force myself to do something, but it's just like, I started this to be happy and to, not that I'm unhappy, but I started this to kind of like find a community, and I want to do that doing the type of things that I like to do. And so this is one of those things. So I kind of go back and forth. I know those paintings are meant to be for the like Parisian set, and I think it's called the like Petit Trianon, or however you say that. I don't know French. I think it's modeled after the small house in Versailles that was for Marie Antoinette. But yeah, I kind of, like I said, I kind of diffused a lot of things. It's not, I don't know, there are clear, distinct styles in Felixandre's content, but the thing is he uses pretty much the same color scheme for everything, which is a very wide, vast array of things, and they all pretty much fit together. And the untrained eye for pretty much like kind of architecture in general, it still looks good. And I'm not an architect. I just like to do things that look good. So yeah. So here I'm working on this kitchen. I kind of wanted to go with this more like, it's obviously updated. It has like a newer fridge and things like that, but I wanted it to be very much like a servant's kitchen, if that makes any sense. I do like a table in the middle, kind of like how when you see like period movies or shows or anything like that, they always have like these like rustic tables in the center where the like cooks like talk over. I don't know how historically accurate that is, but yeah, that's the aesthetic we went for with this. So I was kind of right around here, I was kind of running out of kind of furniture ideas, and I don't know, I kind of had to get out of my own head, because I think that furniture can get sometimes repetitive in builds like this, but I also have to remember that that's like, it was common too. There was a lot of like symmetry, there was a lot of, you know, the overabundance was the luxury. If you had like multiple pieces of furniture, you know, you were rich, you made it, that kind of thing. Not made it, you inherited it, most likely. So here are those 2 paintings I later replaced with the Monets. You'll see those in the screenshots. I don't know if I replace those on camera. yeah, and then I put a couple of mirrors there. I put mirrors in a lot of this house. I just kind of think that, I don't know, I guess I was like, because I went French, I kind of went like stereotypical French and went with like the Hall of Mirrors type thing. So yeah, especially on the upstairs kind of like hall area that has like a very like Hall of Mirrors-esque vibe about it. So yeah, I do like how this the flooring, I really wanted to make that look like it's like it was from nature. It was the like they got it in that area. They didn't have it like imported like they probably did a lot of the stonework or anything like that. So that's kind of the vibe we went for with that. Over here, I think I start working on it now. I kind of wanted this to be like a little observatory, like green space. It's not necessarily like a true observatory or greenhouse or anything like that, but it had a lot of like very large windows in a small space. And the use of plants in this build is obscene, but I think it fits the aesthetic of the surrounding area, and it just fits the vibe of the build. And I think having this little green space with the specific like tropical wallpaper in the background, I think it looks good in the end. I do a few of these like antique vases, things like that, and I think it turned out very nice. There are quite a bit of sculptures in this build too. I didn't necessarily realize that. I added a couple outside too. One of my favorite things about the outside, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but out of the back there's kind of that like lower terrace area, and that kind of goes down into a like lower garden, and out of the corners of that it has these two like fish that like pour water. It's like fountain into the ocean. That's something. Oh, I also wanted to mention that some of this well, I just skipped ahead now, but some of the like fresco walls that I used, I also included some of the cracks, just because I thought it gave it a very rustic island feel, and it also like lends itself to being very old, and like the stucco was like starting to crack and like settle, being on the ocean like that. So I did include that in a lot of areas, like you probably just seen it in the study. But what I was saying is my favorite area is that back part, and it took me so long for something that's just under the water, and it's just those get together bricks and like debug menu options. And it's just like broken stone and different things along the edge of the base, just because I thought that looked a little bit more accurate to what something like this would be. And I included that around the base of the foundation, and I just think it made like a heap of difference, because I think if that's one thing that is lacking, and honestly both CC and the Sims team, is foundation swatches. You can make this like beautiful, like historic looking house, and then it's on like a brand new foundation. And so like it's not the most horrible thing, but it does get quite annoying. But I do think that I kind of managed to fix that a little bit. And so here you can see I kind of go back and forth in furnishing the bedrooms. This one is going to be the child's room, and I kind of went with this like whole white and orange theme, and I did include a little, teddy bear on the bed. I think I didn't go like too like cutesy kids stuff with this. It would be a like historical room. I did include the violin. I think I put in like a dollhouse too. yeah, so I did include the dollhouse. So that's the kids' room. It's probably one of the more bougie kids' rooms that I've made, just because it's got like things like a double bed and things like that. Yeah. So this I kind of would imagine would be like a servant's room, just a couple singles, dressers, things like that. And I went with a lot of the same wood paneling, just in different colors, just because I thought, the continuity fit this. This is the swan room. It is visible from the front. You can kind of see in it. It has that like changing screen blocking the archway. It's kind of just like open. I really liked how this turned out. The master I think is my favorite room, but like this is definitely a close second. Just, I don't know, the way the orange kind of works with the like grays and whites and creams and everything. I think it looks really, really lovely. And with that, we are going into the screenshots. I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.